Hello, dear faculty. Good evening. Hope I'm audible. Shivam, can you please confirm? Thanks for the confirmation, dear faculty. I welcome you all for the day 2 session of Project Build-A-Thon. We'll get started at 6:05. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes for the other participants to get joined. We'll get started at 6:05 sharp. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Say hi all. A very good evening to all the faculties present here. Hope I am audible. First of all, please give me the confirmation that I am audible to you or not. Please give me the confirmation once in the chat. That's good. Fine, fine. So yeah, very good evening to all the faculties present here. So today we are moving on to the hands-on part. Yesterday we discussed about the theoretical thing about like the different technology stacks such as like artificial intelligence, machine learning, also understand like the deep learning, data analytics, cloud computing. So today we are having a different track. So in that we are going to be discuss about the artificial intelligence. Under that we are going to be learn about like what is Python for data science. And under that, what are the different tools or libraries we are going to be covered. So I hope you all are excited for today's session. So for that, I just want confirmation from you in the chat once. Okay, that's good. So yeah, so today we are going to be discuss about the Python for data science. So what is the today's agenda? So first of all, we need to be checked with the today's agenda, and then we move forward. So I'm just sharing the next slide. So today's agenda is to understand Python for data science. What are the different packages for the data science, such as Numpy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Csv. These are the different packages that are basically used for the data science. After that, once we understand this, we will move forward to the IBM Cloud and also understand different IBM Cloud services. We will explore it. And then after, we will work with the Watson Studio node and also understand how to create a IBM service where we are going to be write a code and based on that we can execute it. So this is all the agenda for today, where we will go with the hands-on with Numpy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Csv. These are the packages which we are going to be covered today, and understand like how to write a code for all these different packages that are available. So what is data science? So I already gave an overview yesterday, and I just tell you in brief, and then we move forward for the practical part. So data science is nothing that can be explained the entire process of gathering actionable insights from the raw data. That basically involves various concepts that includes statistical analysis, data analysis, machine learning algorithms, data modeling, and data pre-processing. So in that, data science, where data is processed through advanced statistical and some mathematical concepts that we are going to be used for the techniques to gather the actionable insights from the data to cater the problem statements or the business problems. So as we discussed yesterday already about the data science life cycle, where we discussed about the business problem statement, data gathering, data collection, exploratory data analysis. After that, we also understand how to do the modeling part. After modeling, data validation is there. And then after, the last phase of data science life cycle is to deploy the model and optimize it. So the working of data science is why? Because the raw data is gathered from different sources that explains the business problem. Using various statistical analysis and machine learning approaches, data modeling is performed to get the optimum solution that explains the business problem. And also we are getting to fetch the insights from the data. So today we are moving forward onto the Python for data science. So as you all, I think you all are familiar with Python programming language. I hope you all are familiar with the Python programming language. If not, not an issue. So Python is what? Python is a programming language that is used by many data scientists to clean the data, make visualization, and build a models. So it is very important to understand in a brief about like Python. So it's a general purpose programming language which we are going to be used today, and most probably we prefer Python programming language. We also can write a code into the R programming language, but why we choose Python? Just because of that, there are so many packages, there are so many modules that are freely available, and constantly there are a lot of work under the Python. So the support for Python is very huge because the community is very good in case of Python. So we prefer Python, and Python is basically used in web development, data science, creating software prototypes, artificial intelligence applications, and so on. So why we prefer Python? Because Python is an easy to use syntax. This makes Python an excellent language to learn, to program in it. And with the help of Python, why we are going to be use Python basically as a programming language. So here you can see there are some bullets, like it's an open source, as I told you. It's an high level programming language. It's an interpreted language where you don't need to be define anything, such as like if you write 6, automatically the interpreter will understand it is an integer data. If you write 6.5, automatically it will understand with the help of interpreter that is a float value. It has vast amount of community and libraries, as I already discussed. It's easy syntaxes, and it follows the object-oriented programming approach. And it is easy for writing a code for machine learning, for artificial intelligence, and for deep learning projects, for data science projects, and all. So now we are moving forward into the different tools that are most in trend basically, such as like Jupyter Notebook, Google Colab Notebook, where you can write your code and execute it. You don't need to be if you go for the Google Colab, you don't need to be install anything. Just sign up into that platform and directly you can write a Python code and you will execute it. In case of Jupyter Notebook, you can use Jupyter Lab, online Jupyter Lab also, and you can also install in your local system, write a code. There are cells are presented where you can write a code, and based on that, it will execute it. There are some IDEs also, like integrated development environment, which provides an accessibility to you to gain some more, get some more features, such as you can manage your folders, you can debug the code, and different type of operations you can perform. So for that purpose, we will prefer like Spider IDE, PyCharm, Visual Studio, IntelliJ IDEA, and many others. So these are the most useful tools in Python. We prefer Jupyter Notebook, we prefer Colab Notebook, Spider as an IDE, PyCharm as an IDE, and Visual Studio. So these are the tools. I think you already familiar with all the tools. Anyhow, like for IDE, at least one of the tool you are all are familiar. After understanding the Python tools, we also need to be understand the different packages for data science, which we are going to be covered today, such as like Numpy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and C1 Library. So I'm just giving a brief information about all these packages. When we dive onto the practical part, we will see in details. So Numpy is nothing but a tool for mathematical computing, and data preparation in Python. It is basically used to utilize, it is basically utilized to perform a number of mathematical operations on arrays such as trigonometric operations, statistical operations, and algebraic operations you can perform. This library basically provides many useful features, including handling n-dimensional arrays, broadcasting, performing different operation, data generation, and create an n-dimensional array. So it is the fundamental package for scientific computing with Python, and it also provides a large collection of high-level mathematical functions to operate on an array. So this is how we are understand in brief about NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Cbon, and then after we will move forward for the practical part of it, and where we can understand in depth about all the packages that we are talking about right now. Pandas, what is Pandas? So Pandas is a library that is also written in Python for doing data manipulation. So what is data manipulation? Data manipulation means to create, delete, or update the data. So it is one of the most commonly used library when we are doing data analysis and data manipulation in Python. So we always prefer Pandas library in this case. Now come to Cbon library or Matplotlib library. So Cbon is, before that I will explain Matplotlib. So Matplotlib is a library that is used for data visualization in Python. And Matplotlib is a plotting library that is used for 2D graphics in Python programming language. It can be used in Python scripts, web applications, and web application servers, and other graphical users interface itself. So Matplotlib is a Python library that is used for plotting a different type of charts and graphs. With the help of this Python library, you can integrate plots with different applications wherever it is required in your, as per your use case. So Matplotlib and Cbon is basically used for data visualization. These two libraries we generally prefer for data visualization. Now understand Cbon. So Cbon is an amazing data visualization library that is used for statistical graphics, plotting in the Python, and also it basically provides some default styles and color palettes to make statistical plots more attractive, and it is built on the top of Matplotlib. So whatever the graph you built on Matplotlib, and if you want to make it more attractive, in that case we're gonna prefer Cbon library to make more attractive graphs, to understand the data very in clear manner. So Cbon library is built over the top of Matplotlib library, and it is closely integrated with the data structures from the Pandas. So I hope you get an overview regarding the different packages for data science, such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Cbon. That's good. Now, understand, here you can see I written that statement. So here you can get an overview, like I already explained, NumPy is an open source library that is used for in the field of science and engineering. It's a Python library that is used for working with the arrays and dimensional arrays you can create. So why NumPy is required? So suppose we have a list that serves the purpose of array, but they are slow in nature. Lists are slow in nature. In that case, we prefer NumPy. So I hope you get an idea about this. When we are moving forward into the practical part of it, you will see how we are importing those libraries. What are the different operations we are going to be performed with the help of NumPy libraries. In the same way, we will also understand for the Pandas library or Pandas package, you can say that. And after that, we move forward to the data visualization library, such as Matplotlib, as well as the C1 library that is built over the top of Matplotlib library. So here you can see, like in this slide, like how to install and importing Numpy. If it is not installed right now, if you are going to be installed Anaconda Navigator in your local system, you don't need to be installed Numpy, Pandas, C1 or Matplotlib library. That comes up with the installation of Python, any specific version 3.6, 3.7, 3.8 or 3.9. You don't need to be installed. If suppose sometime we need to be installed, so how we can install? If you have an Anaconda prompt, so with the help of Conda install Numpy, you will be able to install a Numpy library in your local system. If you want to prefer pip, so pip is also there. With the help of pip, you can just write pip install and your module name. So suppose you want to install Numpy, so you need to be write pip install Numpy. If you want to install Pandas, so you can also write pip install Pandas. In the same way for Matplotlib, C1 and other libraries. If you are going to be import Numpy, Pandas or any other library, you just need to be write like import as a keyword. Import is a Python keyword basically. After that, you need to be write the name of that particular package. What is as NP? As NP is nothing but an abbreviation for Numpy, because again and again I will not be able to write the entire name. So what I can do is I will choose this abbreviation name NP that is very small, and I will be prefer for that. So in that case you can use. Otherwise you can also directly use Numpy, or you can also give any other name. Whatever name you want to prefer, you can go with that. In the same way, we discussed about like Pandas that is used for data manipulation. So here you can see in this slide, like it is a Python library that is used and work with the data sets. It is used for data analysis, and it basically allows us to clean the data and to understand the data in depth. So it is one of the most useful library in data science or in Python as well. So these are most useful packages such as Pandas, Numpy, and Conda is used in Anaconda environment. Other IDs and Python ideally uses pip. Yeah, correct. We can go with the pip. Yeah, we can prefer pip if we are installing into some other IDs. And if you want to install a library with the help of Anaconda prompt, so you can prefer just Conda install and the Python library name. No need to install side by side, because we are going to be use an IBM Watson Studio notebook where you don't need to be install anything. So step by step we will go there, and if it is required we will install. No need for right now, because anyhow we have to create a service of an IBM. So I will move forward there. So just wait for a few more minutes and then we move on to the hands-on. So here we are having a Pandas, which we already discussed, like data manipulation, data analysis. We prefer Pandas library. And if you want to go deeper into the data, we will use Pandas library, which is very much relevant in the data science. In the same way, if you want to install it, so you have to write Conda install Pandas if you have an Anaconda distribution. Otherwise, you can prefer pip install and the package name. In the same way, you can use import as a keyword to import that particular library. And after as if we written something, that is known as abbreviation. So this is how like we are installing and importing the Pandas library. Then we move forward to the Matplotlib library that is used for data visualization in Python. And in that, we can create a different type of graphs. What are those graphs? Like bar chart, pie chart, histogram, area plot, and many other graphs we can create with the help of Matplotlib library. And that is used for 2D plotting graphs. So in that way, like we are going to be perform a data visualization with the help of Python library called Matplotlib. If you want to install this library and import it, same operation you need to be performed. For Anaconda distribution, you have to use Panda install Matplotlib. Otherwise, you can prefer, if you have any other IDE, you can just directly write like pip install and that library name. Suppose you are writing a code into the Google Colab, just need to be write pip install and particular package name if it is required. So in that case, you need to be give that particular name of that patch. And this is how like you can import and Matplotlib, suppose such as like matplot import matplot as matplotlib as mpl, and matplotlib.pyplot as plt, numpy as np, percentage matplotlib inline. In that way, you can install and import the Matplotlib library. In the same way, C1 is also used for data visualization library that is built over the top of Matplotlib. With the help of C1 library, you can create more attractive graphs that looks more appealing. And if anything looks more appealing, so it is very easy to understand and the interest will also come in that case. So we will prefer C1 library in such cases. And in C1 library, we can also plot histogram, bar plot, count plot, joint plot, kernel density plot, and many others. After this, you can also install and import all the libraries in the same way. So you can also install C1 library with the help of Panda install and the name of that particular library, pip install and import. So that's all for all the Python packages which we are going to be covered today. So till now, I hope it's clear. We will move forward to the practical part of it. Before that, I hope it's clear to all of you. That's good. So now we are moving forward onto the platform called IBM Cloud. So in IBM Cloud, I hope you all have IBM Cloud accounts with you. So I'm requesting to everyone, please, we are moving forward onto the IBM Cloud, and I'm requesting that you all can follow the steps which I will tell you. And one more important thing, please do parallelly work with me. So it will be help you also, and it will be easy for you to practice like the different Python packages which we are going to be covered. No need to add the credit card details. You can go with the academic account where you can apply the feature code and you will get the trial account for till December 31. Yes, definitely I will go slowly, so don't worry about that. Those who don't have an IBM account, I think we already gave the SmartInternz ID, and I hope you already created. If not, so please watch the session, and after that you can also create an account and practice. In the meanwhile, you can also create it, so don't worry about that. In the meanwhile, you can create the account. So now we are moving forward to the IBM Cloud Platform. So I'm just sharing my screen for the browser. So just give me a minute. I'm just sharing that screen. So I hope my screen, like my browser, is visible to all of you. I'm in like login page of IBM Cloud. Yeah, you can like there are so many benefits of having IBM account. You will utilize the IBM services. There are a number of services which is around like more than 300 plus services are there, so you can use. So I hope my screen is visible to all. Okay, that's fine. So now I will share this link to you. You all need to be logged into your IBM Cloud account. So I'm just sharing the link into the chat box. So please visit onto this link and you will redirect onto this page. So I am requesting to every participants that you all are in the same page or not. Please give me the confirmation once that you all are in the same page or not. Okay, that's good. What about others? Okay, that's so many of them like logged in already. Okay, that's so yeah, I like already shared the link into that chat box. So please click onto this link and you will also redirect onto this page. This is an IBM Cloud login page where you have to give your IBM ID. So if you are requesting for the SmartInternz ID, you have to give your SmartInternz ID, and if you already created the cloud account, so you need to give your password. Again, I will share that link. Don't worry about that. I'm just sharing. Yeah, I'm just sharing the link. Just a minute. Hope you now received the link. Hope you all received the link. That's so now we are going to be logging into IBM Cloud Platform. So I already like have my email ID which is saved into the browser. So I'm just directly click onto the continue button, and it will ask me to write down the password. So I already saved my password into the browser, so I don't want to write again. So I'm just directly click onto the login button. In the same way, you have to write your email ID along with the password and click onto the login button. So you will be redirected onto the IBM Cloud dashboard page. Once you click onto the login, you will be redirected onto the IBM Cloud homepage. So I hope you all are in the dashboard right now. I hope you all are in the dashboard right now. No, those who are like following that video procedure, they will not get an option called like to like give the information as credit card or the PAN card details. Please follow that video instruction, and based on that, if you create it, you directly need to be use the feature code and apply. Once you apply the feature code, you will get a free account till 31st December. If you have academic accounts, please go with the academic account. I hope you all are in the same page. Participants, I hope you all are in this same page. Yeah, IBM ID is nothing but the ID which you get from the SmartInternz, or if you already have the college ID and you created the IBM account, so you use that ID. Those who don't have an ID, please request for that, and like you will receive the email ID and you have to create. So follow the instruction which is given onto that video. If you create an IBM account, so that at that time, whatever the password you given, so that will be your password. I think you all created an IBM account, followed that video procedure, which we already shared in the group. I think many of them created successfully. Yeah, so we shared one link here. Those who do not have an SmartInternz ID or any college ID, so in that case, they can register onto that particular link. Please fill the form and request for the academic ID. So I hope you all are in the same page. Those who don't have this, and yeah, so video procedure also shared in that chat. So please follow that video to create an IBM account itself. And I hope like created login. Okay, that's fine. So shall I proceed? Shall I proceed, guys? Participants, shall I proceed? Okay, fine. So don't worry about that. Those who do not have an account, they can create an account parallelly, not an issue. After in the meanwhile also you can create the account. It will not take that much amount of time. Please follow that video instructions, sir. Mir Amir Amit, sir, please follow the instruction that is given onto that video. I'm requesting to all the faculties, those who do not have an account, please fill that form and request for the academic ID and follow the video instruction. So you will be easily able to create an account within 10 minutes. Heart to heart, like it will take 10 minutes. So you will also be present in this page. Yes. So Satish Kumar sir, yeah, here you need to be go academic home and click on to register. Please follow that video instruction. So shall I proceed, participants? Okay. So this is the home page right now. Once you log in successfully and created the IBM account, you will redirect onto this home page where you will get an interface like this. So in the left hand side top, you have an hamburger menu that is called navigation menu. If you click on that, you will get lots of options and shortcuts to redirect onto particular service. So if you want to redirect onto the dashboard, either you can click onto this IBM Cloud logo, or you can click onto this hamburger menu from left hand side navigation menu. Click on dashboard, you will redirect onto this. If you want to see what are the services you created, so you can click onto resource list. So we will come back to the resource list once after we create the service. These are the other services that is offered by the IBM for classic infrastructure. Cloud Foundry is basically where you can write a code for the Python and other things as well, and create some other services like Node.js, Python, and many other services. Code engine functions are there, Kubernetes, OpenShift, Satellite, and many other services that is offered by the IBM. So our main purpose is to understand the service which we are going to be used today. So here in the dashboard, if you scroll down, you will get an overview related with the platform. Now we have an option here, a search bar. From here also, you can search the services. Like suppose I want to create a Watson Studio service. Why I am going to be create a Watson Studio service? Just because I want to utilize the services that is offered by the IBM Watson Studio. So Watson Studio is basically democratize the data science and AI to drive the innovation in the businesses with a set of tools for all the skill levels. So it is easy to collaborate. It is easy to prepare the data, analyze and model the data. You can write a program in Python programming language as well as R in the notebook that is available under the Watson Studio asset. And it is basically provides visually code on a graphical canvas or automatically build the models. So from here, if you know about the service, you can directly search here. Otherwise, you can click onto the catalog option, if you click onto this catalog, you will be redirected onto the catalog page. In this space, you will be able to see what are the different services that is offered by IBM Cloud. And it is around like 342 different services that is offered by the IBM. So in that, you can see the category also. There are different categories, such as, I will show you, such as for recommended products, they have 6 services. For compute service, 53 services are there. Containers, 10 services. Networking, storage, AI, analytics, blockchain, database, developer tools, and many others, such as migration, integration, IoT, security, mobile, and many other services that are offered by IBM Cloud. So we need to be understand about few of the service that we are going to be used throughout this Build-A-Thon. So please click onto this AI and machine learning service. If you click here, you will be able to see in AI and machine learning, they are offering 18 different services that we can use and utilize the benefits of those services. In that, you can see we have Watson Assistant. So Watson Assistant is a cloud-based service that is offered by the IBM. With the help of Watson Assistant, you can build a conversational chatbot. And in that case, it is very easy to build a chatbot with Watson Assistant service. We will understand, we have that Watson Assistant in the day number 6. We will understand this in depth. Now, another service we have, which we are going to be used today, that is called Watson Studio. In Watson Studio, that is offered different services as well under that, such as you can create an auto AI service. What is auto AI? So auto AI is help for the beginners to build the model without coding, and also it helps, auto AI service helps the expert data scientists that can speed their experimentation in AI development. Auto AI basically automates the data preparation, model development, feature engineering, and hyperparameter optimizations. So you don't need to be write any code. With a few clicks, you will create your ML model with the help of Auto AI. That comes under Watson Studio as you can write a code in Python programming language as well as R programming language with the help of code editor that are present under Watson Studio service that we are going to be used today. And that name is called Jupyter Notebook Editor. IBM Watson Studio offers many other different services, such as to develop the predictive models with the help of IBM SPSS services, and federated model learning also they are offering for the different data sources where you have to maintain the data security. And each participating party in the federation that trains the common machine learning model without moving or sharing the data. So there are a lot of assets comes under the Watson Studio. So we will be going to use today a code editor. Other services as well, like communication monitoring, where voice and text analytics is there to analyze the customer experience and also assure that the quality of the assurance the companies basically provide to their customers with the help of communication monitoring. For language translator, we have a separate service. You don't need to be write any code. Directly with the help of this service, you can translate from one language to another language. So it is easy basically. In that in that IBM Cloud Platform, we have machine learning service. We can deploy our model in machine learning algorithm. We will also create natural language processing, like NLP based application with the help of Knowledge Studio, NLU service. Under that, we have many other services such as text to speech, speech to text, and many other different services that are offered by IBM. So I hope you all are in catalog right now and understand few services that are offered by IBM. So till now, I hope it's clear to all. That's good. So now we are proceeding with the Watson Studio service. So I am clicked onto the Watson Studio. So please click onto the Watson Studio service. Once you click on that, you will be redirected onto this particular page where you have to select a location, select a pricing plan. By default, it select a light plan because we are using a trial account. In trial account, they are offering a light plan where we can use 10 CUH. CUH is nothing but like how much utilization on monthly basis. That is capacity units per hour. If you are using, they are providing some environments. If you use one virtual CPU with 4 GB RAM, it will take, if you're using that service for 1 hour, it takes 0.5. So total 10 CUH they are providing. If you use 4 virtual CPU with 16 GB RAM, so if you run this service for 5 hours, that will consume all the 10 CUH, which is your monthly limit. So based on the uses, you can use one virtual CPU with 4 GB RAM as an environment and others. There are some paid plans also, so we don't need to be click onto the paid plan. By default, it is a light plan. If you scroll down, here you can change the service name. If you want to change, you can change it from here. Resource group is default. It is by default. We are not creating this resource group. Whenever you created this IBM account, automatically resource group will be created. If resource group is not present, then in that case, either you have to upgrade the plan or you will not, like in that case, you will not be able to create a resource group from your end. It is an automatic thing, automatic service or automatic group basically. That is created when you create your IBM account. So in place, there are select a location. If you click on here, so there are multiple locations present. So you have to choose this Dallas as a reason. So please select, by default, it's selected as Dallas. So you can also, if it is selecting to the different location, you can also go with the different location for this particular service to be hosted into the server, into the IBM server. Yeah, location, very few options are there for this particular service. Based on the service, locations are there. For like Watson Studio, they are offering into these particular. For natural language understanding, there is other like more locations they are adding. So based on the service, basically they are adding the service. If no resource group is available, I think you're not following the proper video procedure. That is why you're not getting an option called no resource group. So if you do not getting that option called no resource group, so it means that you will not be able to create a service, any service in the IBM. This is by default. We are not creating a resource group. So first of all, please give me the confirmation. Those who are getting an option like resource group as default. I hope you all are getting that option. Okay, that's fine. Good. So now we are moving on to the next thing, that is to create a service. So we select the location as Dallas. Now you have an option in the right hand side, like location we selected as Dallas, plan we are having live. My service name is like Watson Studio BJ and resource group is default in this. So what I need to do is I have to click onto this checkbox to read and like to accept the agreement and terms and conditions, and simply click onto this blue button for creating the IBM Watson Studio service, where we are going to be utilize the asset called Jupyter Notebook for writing a code. Once after you created the service successfully, you will be redirected onto this page. Can you please repeat the procedure? So yeah, it's different. Watson Studio name will be different for all. Service name will be unique for all. In your case, it's different. My case, it's different. You can also give your name itself in the Watson Studio. So don't worry about that. Just simply click onto the create button. Accept the terms and condition. Click on create. Those who are facing an issue, like they are not find out the service. So again, I'm click onto this catalog button. Once you click on catalog button, you have to directly search. Directly you can search. Otherwise, click on AI and machine learning, and then click onto the Watson Studio. Otherwise, you can just write down here Watson Studio and select that particular service. In my case, right now I created that service, so I will not be able to create again. So here you can see in existing light plan instance, you can only have one light plan. So right now I will not be able to create, but in your case, by default it's selected light plan. Location you can select as Dallas and click on this checkbox and create the service. Now after that, yeah, recordings will be provided to everyone. So don't worry about that. If you missed any step, you will be follow that video. After completing the session, you will receive the recordings as well. So don't worry about it. So Atul sir, if you are not having the resource group in your account, you have to request again for the new ID in this case. Those who are getting an issue with the resource group, they need to be like request again for the new email ID. Okay, fine. Now after we create the service successfully, now what we need to do is directly we need to be click on to launch an IBM Cloud service. When I click on that, so the service will be launched. Once we launch the service, we will get this kind of pop-up. You just need to be close this pop-up. So here you can see, because I already create the service and delete it. So in your case, there are not any project presented. In your case, only there is an option like this, no project kind of thing. So from where you can create a project. This is an interface. Right now we are in the Watson Studio service. With the help of this service, we are going to be write a code in Python. So what we need to do in this case, we are getting other options right now in the hamburger menu in the left hand side, like home page, data, like platform connections, project, like if you have multiple projects, you can see. So I will come back to this once after we complete the coding part, then I will again come here and explain all these things. Like how you can access all the project, what are the deployment, and what are the different other services that are present in this menu. So right now you have an option. Either you have an option here, like click on to create a new project. Otherwise, we have, like, you want to know more about the Watson Studio service, you can take a tutorial from here. You can also extend your capabilities with like add the tools or the databases. If you want to create a project in IBM Watson Studio, you have to click onto this option called create a project. So simply click on to create a project. Once you click onto create a project option, company name, you can give your college name and contact number directly. In place of company name, you can give your college name and the contact number directly. Now after, when I click onto the create a project option, I will redirect onto this particular page where I have to create an empty project. So there are two options. If you already have a project from a sample or any file, you can go with this option. Otherwise, you can create an empty project. So what we are going to do is, we are going to be choose an option called create an empty project. Please simply click on create an empty project option. So once you click on that, you will redirect onto this particular page. So how many of you are in this same page? Participants, how many of you are in the same page? Yes, I'm going like I'm very fast, or I'm going in the same pace. Shall I go with the same pace? Because we have to cover all the packages as well. Got it. Good. So click on to the create project. Then after create an empty project, once you click on create an empty project, you will be redirected on to this particular page that is called new project, where those who are facing an option for no resource group, they need to request the email ID once again, because at the time you created the account, automatically resource group will be allocated. You cannot create. If you want, in that case, we need to be upgrade the plan. So this is not an option for us. Please request for the another email ID, another SmartInternz email. So now we are in this page where you have to create a project name. You can also give your project description. You can also restrict who can be collaborate with this in this project. And we have in right hand side, we have an option called select storage. So I just want to ask a question to you. In your local system, if you create any notebook, where it is stored? Where it is stored? It is stored in your local system hard drive. Correct? Local drive. If you are using Google Colab, in that case, what happened? Either you can store it into the drive, then fetch. Correct? Now, in IBM Cloud also, there is an storage called Cloud Object Storage, that is a default storage service provided by IBM, where you can store your data such as like notebook, data sets, and other files as like zip file and other file that is necessary and required for this particular project or any particular notebook. So what happened in this case? You have to create a storage service, because anyhow we create any project, we need to be stored it somewhere. So where we can store? We can store into Cloud Object Storage service that is provided, that service is offered by IBM to store the services. So I click on to this option. When I click on add button, I will redirect onto this particular page that is called Cloud Object Storage. If you want to know more about the services, you can click on about option. You will be able to see this is a default storage for IBM Cloud. What are the different things they are offered? So in general, for storing the files in IBM Cloud, we are getting an option for IBM Watson Studio. We are getting an option called Cloud Object Storage that also offers a free light service. So there are different options like Cloud Object Storage on satellite, 12 terabyte, 24 terabyte. So we don't need to be select these options. We have an option called light plan. And also here you can see by default, the resource group is default. Service name you want to change. If you want to change, you can change. So here you can see we are having a light plan, which provides storage up to 25 GB, where you can put, copy, post, and many other services that is offered basically. To retrieve the data, they are offering like 10 GB per month. So we need to create this Cloud Object Storage service that comes under the light service plan. And here we don't need to be select any region. By default, Cloud Object Storage region is global. So in the right hand side, you can see Cloud Object Storage is the service name, where region is global, plan is light, service name is this. You want to change, you can change, and resource group is default. If I click on to create button, so my Cloud Object Storage service is created with light plan. But when I click on create, automatically my page got closed. Why? Because service got created, and by default, that page got closed. So what we need to do now? What we need to do now? We have an option called refresh button. So if I click on refresh, firstly, you have to click on add cloud object storage page, you will redirect. Select light plan, then click on create. Automatically, once you click on create and service got created, you will redirect onto the same page. Now, once it's created, click on refresh button and unique cloud object storage will be assigned to you. In my case, it is cloud object storage -az. In your case, it will be different. So how many of you are presented here who created a cloud object storage service successfully? Done. That's good. Now we are going to create a project. So what is the project? So just give the project name as AI project Build-A-Thon. Just give the name because this is the entire project name. Where under that project you can create multiple assets for Jupyter Notebook and others. So you can understand like this. This is a folder. This is a folder. Under that folder you have multiple files. So we are creating a project called AI project Build-A-Thon. And if you want to give the description, you can also give the description. You can write the description here. Then after, simply click on to this blue button. Click on create the service. Once you click onto the service, create service, you will be redirected onto the next. So once I click on to create the service, create basically a project, not a service, it's a project. So here you can see under project, I have a project name called AI project Build-A-Thon. So this is how like I created. This is an overview. Right now we are not consuming any. This is the project history notification you will get, and this is the asset. So currently we don't have any assets. If you click on asset, you will get an option like this, from where you can add the service. Jobs is also there. So we don't have any jobs right now. And if you click on manage, so in manage option, you will see the details related with this particular project. From here, you can also delete the project. What is the main thing? Once after you are redirect onto overview page, you have to click onto the asset button. Here, right now, we are not having any assets. So what we need to do? We need to click on new asset. Once you click on new asset, you will get multiple options. You are getting multiple options here, such as all types. If you by default it's selected all types, so you will get an asset for graphical builder, such as dashboard editor, for data refinery, decision optimization, for creating a pipeline. You have a specific service presented in IBM that is called pipelines. SPSS modeler for predictive analytics. We are having a code editor which we are going to be used today, Python notebook, where you can write a code in Python, R, or Scala to prepare, visualize, and analyze the data, and also build a model. For data accessing tool, you have an option called connected data, connections, and data replication. So if you want to use Jupyter Notebook, directly click onto code editors, or by default, you can scroll down and select Jupyter Notebook. And if you are not able to find out, just directly write down here JUP. When you write Jupyter, so Jupyter Notebook service will come. So click on to this Jupyter Notebook editor. Click on to this Jupyter Notebook editor. Yes, sure, I will tell. Once after your project is created, you will redirect onto overview page. Click on asset option. Click on new, like blue button with new asset. And then after you can search for Jupyter Notebook. Otherwise, you can click on code editor. Select Jupyter Notebook editor. Once you select that service, you have to give the name of the file. So what I'm going to do is first is called Numpy. Or what I will do here is I will create day 2 node. Okay. You can also upload the file like IPYNB file. If you have, you can upload it. You can also upload from the URL itself. Now select runtime. By default, the select runtime is 3.9. 2 virtual CPU and 8 GB RAM we are going to be utilized because we are not working on. In this case, I will tell you to use like this service as well because it consumes very less CPU CUH basically. So very less CUH will utilize in this case, that is 0.5 for 1 hour. So you can also change the runtime in this case. So here you can see it consumes 0.5 hours. Language, we are having a Python 3.9. If you want to give the description, you can give the description here. Just writing here for you better understanding, like IBM Day 2. And click on create. Once you click on create button, your notebook will be created in IBM Watson Studio Jupyter Code notebook editor. Once after it's created, without wasting a time, we will move forward onto the coding part for Numpy, Pandas, Cvon, and Matplotlib Library. So I hope you all are in the same page right now. What about other participants? Those who are not able to use the service, they can watch the session. They can understand how we create the service and all. Once you will get the account, you will also try in your. So don't worry about it. So right now, I hope you all are familiar with this type of UI in Jupyter Notebook or in Google Colab. I hope so. It is very similar to the Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab, where we have file option, edit option, view option, insert the cell, insert like basically we are having to just insert option like toggle toolbar, this toolbar you want, toggle line number, and many others. So I'm not going to be explain this because you all are familiar with it. We are dive onto the coding. So here, by default, the runtime environment is Python 3.9. Now we are moving on to the NumPy. So NumPy, so just write the heading as NumPy here. Just writing the heading as NumPy, and I'm just changing with this format code as heading. And click on. So for select the notebook, basically you can choose any runtime. If you choose one virtual CPU with 4 GB RAM, so in that case, your CUH will consume 0.5 for 1 hour. So till now, hope all the participants understand. Those who are facing problem with the account, so don't worry. You can request for the academic ID. You will receive that. You can watch this recorded session and perform the different operations which we are going to be following. So now we are moving on to the coding part, that is NumPy. So NumPy is a tool for mathematical computing and data preparation in Python, where we can utilize to perform a number of mathematical operations. So in NumPy, why we are going to use it? It is fast as it is binding the different C libraries as well. Python list has less properties than NumPy array, which is why you will use array over the list. It helps in data pre-processing. NumPy is comparatively very fast, easy to use, and compact. So we are going to be use NumPy today and understand the different operations over the NumPy. So how we can import the NumPy library? So I'm just writing here as import numpy as np and shift plus enter if I press, so automatically that particular cell will run. So this is the shortcut. No need to select 12 terabyte plans. Select light plan only. Yeah. So we just need to be right import numpy as np. So I'm just importing the library, numpy library. Now we are going to be create a numpy array. So numpy array is nothing but an array that reserves a space in the memory for a list or some values. These arrays essentially comes into two different flavors, such as like vectors and matrices. Vectors are strictly one-dimensional array, and matrices are two or more dimensional arrays. So we are going to be create a numpy array here. So numpy array has a pre-built function that is called np.array. With the help of that, we are going to be create a numpy array. So how we can do that? First of all, we need to be import the library as numpy as np. Then after, if I'm creating a list, suppose I create a list, simple list I'm creating. In Python, we create a list like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose I am storing 5 different elements in the list one. If I run this and I want to check the type of list one, so here you can see it is a type of list because the square bracket we are using and storing the different elements. Now I want to create an array. So how can I create an array? Numpy array. So I just write it here ARR as a abbreviation of an array as a variable np.array, and I directly pass this list one. And after that, if I check ARR, so here you can see, if I will write one more important thing, I'm adding this list one, firstly list one element. Here you can see list one elements are in the form of list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I check the type of list one, that is list. After that, when I use np.array, np is the abbreviation of numpy. So np.array and list one I directly passed it. So these data is now converted into an np array. If you want to see the type of it, just simply write like type of ARR and you will get an information as numpy and array. There is another way to create a numpy array. So you just need to be write like ARR is equals to np.array. Under that you can pass the element. Suppose 1, 2, 4, any random elements I am storing here, 124 and 56. And then after, if I want to fetch the data, so I'm just writing ARR again. And here you can see we are getting an array of 124 and 56, 3 different elements that are stored into the numpy array. So this is how like we can create a numpy array with both the cases. We can follow this case or we can either follow this case. Now understand the different built-in methods that are available in the NumPy. NumPy allows us to use many built-in methods for generating the arrays, such as like np.range, np.zeros, np.ones, np.linspace, np.i. So these are some built-in methods. So I'm just writing here like built-in methods we are talking about right now. I'm just giving the heading here. So built-in methods we are talking. So first of all, I will go with arange function, or you can say that arange method in under the NumPy. So NumPy arange function will return evenly spaced values with a given interval, and it works similarly to the Python range function. So it's only required parameter such as the number of range you want to create. So if I write np.arange function, np.arange function, and if I am just passing like 10 here, so here you can see we are able to get the data in range started from 0 to 9. So total number of elements are 10. That index started from 0 to 9. Somewhat it is similar to the Python range. In Python range, we are also writing like, suppose I want to create 10 different elements. So what I need to do, range of 1 to 10. So 10 different data I will get in this case. If I write like 0 to 10, so in this case 0 up to 9 we are getting an out. So with the help of np.arange, if I'm passing 10, so I will get all the elements there where the index started from 0 to 9. So arange is somewhat like a function that will return the values with a given interval. We have zeros and ones, also the built-in methods such as zeros. So NumPy provides functions that are able to create ones and zeros in the required parameters. So suppose I want to create NumPy zeros. So if I'm writing like np.zeros, it's zeros basically. And if I'm writing like suppose 3. So here you can see the data type of the array is basically a float type, where if I'm writing 3, so 3 zeros will come in this. So np.zeros, if you want to create an array with 0 elements, you can just use zeros built-in function over the NumPy. If you want to create a matrix for that, so you can also create the matrix with the help of the parameter called 3 cross 3, 3, 3, and you will get, here you need to be passed one more bracket and run this. So here you can see, because 2 different elements we are passing. If single element, single parenthesis is fine. If multiple elements are there, we need to add one more parenthesis. So here you can see we are able to create a 3 cross 3 matrix which contains 0 as a value, but here the data type is float. Float type of data is present. So if you want to convert it into an integer, what we have to do in this case? Anyone having idea like how we can convert this into an integer 3 cross 3 matrix? Or you can say that the multi-dimensional array. It is a multi-dimensional array, not a 3 cross 3 matrix. We are not storing somewhere. What we can do in this case, np.zeros are there. I'm just copying it and just give the comma here. After that, we just need to be write like d type. D type is nothing but a data type, and we need to be assign a data type as int. If I run this now, I am getting a multi-dimensional array with zero values. So it contains like 3 columns and 3 rows are. So this is how like we can convert it into an integer. In the same way, if you want to create an matrix, create an array for ones, so just use the ones function. np.ones function, if I am writing like 4 here, so 4, 1 will become into this array. And I want to create a multi-dimensional array with an integer number. So what I have to do in this case, just simply need to be write like np.ones, and under that I'm just writing like 4, 4, and also what I want to convert it into an integer data. So d type is equals to int in this case. So the data type of ones will be converted from float values to integer values. If I run this, so here you can see we are getting all the data in this multi-dimensional array we are having with 1, and the data type is integer in this case. These are the function, specific function. We are talking about built-in function right now. We are talking about built-in function. If you want to create a simple NumPy array, you can just simply write like np.array, and whatever the variable, whatever the elements you want to store it into that array, you can store. These are the built-in function. Arange is the built-in function. Zeros is a built-in function. Yalanki ma'am, I hope it's clear for you. So zeros, ones, these are the built-in methods. Right? So in this case, like now what we are going to do is we have a linspace function also. Yeah, it's not a matrix basically, it's a multi-dimensional array. So linspace we are talking about now. So what is linspace? NumPy linspace functions will return spaced number over a specified interval. So required parameters for this, like starting point you need to be 10, stop point, and how many numbers you want to generate in that particular interval, that particular range basically. So how we can create? So if I write like np dot linspace here, and under that, if I am passing 0 is my starting point. After that, np is why, because we are using numpy here. NumPy built-in function we are using. That is why NP is compulsory to write. Otherwise, because these are the built-in functions under the NumPy library. So np.linspace. In np.linspace, my starting point will be 0, and I want to stop till 10th. And how many numbers of intervals I want. So I need to be passed 5 different intervals. So with the help of linspace, it will return space number over a specified range. If I run this, so here you can see 0 to 10. If I write 5, so it divided into 5 different parts, 5 equally different interval parts. So it's 0, then 2.5, then 7.5, then 7.5, and then 10. Random values, if you want to create, so here you just need to write like np.array. Under that, you can pass any number of values, and you will be able to create a random values array with NumPy itself. After that, we have an I function also. Yeah, if we want int instead of float, so it's divided into 5 different parts. 0 to 10, 5 different parts. If I am just writing here as 15 and run this, so it's 0.3.75. So it's divided into equal parts basically. If you write here, suppose 4, so 4 different parts, and now you want to convert it, stored it into any variable and convert it into integer. So that will be converted into an integer. So 0 to 15, 4 different intervals I want. So first interval is 0, second is 5, third one is 10, and fourth one is float. 15. If you want to convert, change the data type, convert it into an integer, stored it into some variable, and you can do that. So I hope it's clear now. Fine. Now we are moving on to I. I function is also there. I function basically returns the identity matrix. So the identity matrix is a square matrix that has ones along the main diagonal and zeros for all other entries. So this matrix often written in that way, like suppose I want to create an I matrix. So how we can create it? So first of all, np dot I function. In that you need to be defined like suppose 3. If I pass 3 as a parameter, here you can see this is an identity matrix. In identity matrix, in diagonal places, 1 will be there and rest other places filled with 0. If I write 3, it means 3 cross 3. If I write 4, so 4 cross 4. If I write 5, so I will show you, like if I am writing np dot I, suppose 5. So it's created a 5 cross 5 matrix. In diagonal places, it is feeding with 1 and rest other values are filled with 0. So it is very easy to create an identity matrix with the help of NumPy I function. If you want to change the data type, you can also change it. So I hope it's clear with these built-in methods like arange, zeros, ones, linspace, and I function. Now we have another function that are present under NumPy that is called random functions. NumPy allows you to use various functions to produce arrays with random values. Yeah, you can perform the typecasting itself. Like suppose if I stored it into A. So why I'm getting this error? Because size of one array cannot be converted into a Python scalar. It is in the matrix format. You cannot directly typecasting with the help of int function. You cannot do that in that. I'm just set. Now we have a random function. So typecasting is not directly possible into the array. You cannot apply because it is in the scalar format and you have a matrix. Now we move on to the random. So that is basically generate a random number. To access these function, firstly we have to access the random function itself. In that we have np.random function. Under that random we have some different functions itself. So how we can do that? Like np.random.rand function, rand n function, rand int function. These are the different functions we are going to be used. If suppose I want to create a random number in particular range, suppose. So how can I do that? With the help of np.random.rand function I will use, and when I pass any number, so in between that we will get any random number will be generated in this case. So how we can do that? If I want to generate a random number, so np.random.rand function I will use. If I pass 4, so here you can see 4 random numbers will be generated. 4 numbers will be generated, whether it is 1 or 2-dimensional arrays. So this is how we will, if I run this cell once again, again the other random numbers will be generated. So in that way, like the random number will generate in the range between 0 to 1. We have also another function called np.random.rand function, and it produces random values with a standard normal distribution from negative to positive values. If I write 5, so here you can see few like 1 negative value it is generated, and like 4 positive values are present. If data is having some negative values, yeah, data will also contain like negative values. There is not any issue. We can create an array with the negative values itself. Yes, we can create it. Like suppose if you want to create with negative values, np.array, and under that I just want to store some data, basically 1, comma. So here you can see we are able to do that. So negative values will also comes under that. So data is negative or positive, it will be stored under the Numpy array. Now we have rand int function also. Rand int function is basically used to generate the whole random numbers ranging between low and the high value. If suppose if I'm just passing 1 to 100, in that particular range, any random number will be generated. So how we can create? So np.random.rand int function we have, and if I'm passing 4, so any random number from this particular range will be generated. If I run this again, suppose next cell, if I'm just run the same thing again, it will generate the different number right now. So you can also specify the particular range, like suppose in between 4 to 30, I want to generate any random number. If I run this, so it generates 11 right now. So with the help of random.randint function, you can generate an integer number in the particular range. So I hope it's clear till now. Any any questions related with anything? Till now it's clear to all the participants. Okay. Now after we are moving on to the pandas. So pandas library is also there. So now we are moving on to the pandas library. So there are different other operations as well. We can perform into the NumPy. So like array attributes, broadcasting, fancy indexing, and many other things we gonna perform. So we have certain times, so we need to be cover all the libraries. So we are moving on to the pandas right now. So in pandas, so first of all need to be understand, pandas is basically used for the data manipulation, which means you can create, delete, and update the data. And it is mostly used library when we are doing data analysis and manipulation. And it provides a range of utilities. Yes, I will definitely show like how to use select pandas. So just simply write like pandas here. And if I go for the format, click on that and click on heading. So you will get this heading. So right now we are moving on to the like pandas series object. So I'm just importing the library for pandas as import pandas as PD. So you can import the library of pandas. After that, we are talking about pandas series object. So I'm just writing like pandas series object. I'm giving the heading for pandas series object. So what is pandas series object? So pandas object can be thought an enhanced version of NumPy structured arrays, in which the rows and columns are identified with the labels rather than simple integer indices. So with the help of pandas, we can enhance the functionality on the top of the basic data structures. So pandas series object is nothing but a one-dimensional array. One-dimensional array of indexed data. It can be created from a list of an array. So how we are going to do? So we are going to be create a pandas series. So in that, I'm just creating I'm creating a variable called data. Data is basically stored pd dot series. So we are creating a series object which contains the index number as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So how we can create? I'm just passing some different numbers here. If I'm just passing like suppose 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, and 1.0. So these are the four different elements I'm storing into this data. If I run this and I want to fetch it, so if I write like data right now, so here in pandas it is converted into this format. So automatically index number got assigned to them. When I'm just writing data only, it assigned the value in this format where we can easily understand in 0th index 0.25 is to 1, like 0.50, 0.75, and 1.0. So the series basically wraps both a sequence of the values along with their sequence of the indices, which we can access with the values and index attributes. So suppose I want to fetch only the values. So how can I fetch those values? I just need to be write like data.values in this case, and I will be able to fetch all the values that are stored into this particular like variable called data. And under that data, we created a pandas series. If you want to fetch an index, so you will also get an index value as well. So I just need to be write like data.index. And if I am writing this, so I will be able to fetch like the starting point of that index is from 0, stop point is 4, and what is the step size? So the step size is 1, because index is in the not in the decimal values. It always in the integer, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in that. If you want to fetch any data, suppose I want to fetch this 0.75. So how can I do that? I just need to be simply write like data and a square bracket. In a square bracket, I just need to be write like 2, and I will be able to fetch this particular data based on the index number. After this, if you want to fetch the data in any specific range, so you can also fetch the data in the specific range, such as like data 1 colon 3. And if I run this, so it is started from 1. So 1 is there, which stored like 0.50 up to 3 I want to fetch. So up to 3 means this will not be calculated in this case. So 1 and 2 elements will come. 0.50 and 0.7. After that, you can also generalize a Numpy array. So how you can generalize, like Numpy array has an option called So in Numpy, in Pandas, if we want to create a series that is generalized as Numpy array, so what we can do in this case? So series object is basically interchangeable with one-dimensional NumPy array. The essential difference is the presence of the index. A NumPy array has an implicitly defined integer index. Implicitly defined the integer index that is used to access the values. The Pandas series has an explicitly defined index that is associated with the values. So what means by explicit here? Explicit index definition gives the series object additional capabilities. For example, the index need not be an integer type. Right now it is an integer type 0, 1, 2, 3. What can consist of value of any desired type? You can give anything. So if you want to give a string here in place of index 0, 1, 2, 3 like this, so how you can do that? It is very simple. In Pandas, we just write like data is equals to pd dot, or I'm just copying this. Just copy this entire data and paste it here. But right now, what I want index as the string value. So I need to be give comma. You can hit enter. Just simply write like index here. That is equals to, in a square bracket, you have to give any name. Suppose I just want to give A, B, C, any name you can give here. 4 different values, so 4 different names you need to be provide here. D. If I stored it in this way and I want to fetch the data right now, so here you can see my indices are in the string values. So it's A, B, C, D. If I want to fetch this value, what I need to do? Data of C, suppose. If I run this, I will be able to fetch this 0.75. Because right now my index is treated in the string format. So in that way, you can access the different values, as well as you can also assign any random values itself in the index number. So how you can do that? In place of like 0, 1, 2, 3, that is the implicit thing. In explicit, you can give like suppose 7, 8, 11, and 14 suppose. If I run this and I want to see the data, so here you can see these are the different index number. Any random number I have given. So I want to fetch this. Like suppose I want to fetch 8 and run this. So right now I'm getting an output as 0.5. So this is the power of pandas basically, which we gonna use, and also explicitly we can define the index number itself. So I hope it's clear till now. Any questions? So you can put. Okay, that's very nice. Now we are moving on to series as a specialized dictionary we are going to be used. I'm just writing here that the headline as series as specialized dictionary. I'm just giving as heading here. Yes, you can store. Yes, you can store the data. Can we access series of data? It is not continuous. Yes, we are accessing right now. Amit sir. Yes, we can. Yeah, series as a specialized dictionary that where we are going to be stored. Like data 1 column 3, then 6 to 9 index. You can store it in that page. Yes, we can. Now we are moving on to like series as specialized dictionary. You can like Pandas series a bit like a specialization of a Python dictionary. Dictionary is a structure that maps key value pair. Key is basically an set of arbitrary values. Series is a structure which maps typed keys to set of the typed values. So series as a dictionary analogy can be made even more clear by constructing a series object directly from a Python dictionary. So I will show you like how we are creating a dictionary. So just take any example. Suppose I am just taking an example of population. So I'm just writing like population dictionary. Under that, I'm just taking a location such as like I'm just writing like Hyderabad here. And I'm just giving any random value. Suppose how many number of companies are there basically in this location. It's not population. Then it's basically location dictionary. In this location dictionary, we have an Hyderabad. Or you can say that if we are going with the so number of companies are there basically in this particular location. Suppose I'm just taking a random number, any random number. Suppose 54 companies are. Then after again I have to take any other location such as Delhi. So Delhi have more companies. Suppose 120 companies are there. After that we have Bangalore also. So in Bangalore, basically we have suppose 324 companies, and one more I'm just taking. 4 is enough basically. So I'm just taking as like Gurugram. In Gurugram, there are 212 companies. Based on the location, these are the companies. Number of companies are there. So I stored it into location dictionary. Based on the location, number of companies are there in those particular location. If I save it and I just want to fetch it. If I run this, so here you can see this is in the dictionary format, correct? Like we have a key value pair, Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, and Gurugram. But now what I want to use this dictionary with the help of series, Pandas series. So I'm just writing here as location is equals to pd dot series function. Under that function, I have to pass this location dictionary. If I pass this variable, if I pass this variable, and after that I am fetching the location. So here you can see we will get in the proper structure. So here, after running this, here you can see it is now converted into an Pandas series where Hyderabad 54 companies, Delhi 120 companies. These are the random numbers we are taking. This is not the exact figure. Bangalore 324, Gurugram it's 212. So in that way, like we are generalized this dictionary as a Python dictionary and then converted into an Pandas series object. So if suppose you want to fetch a data for Bangalore, how many location, based on the location, I want to fetch how many companies are there in Bangalore. If I run this, I will get an output as 324 in this case. So what does it mean? It means there are 324 companies that are present according to this data in Bangalore location. I think what happened now. Why it is taking? I hope you are getting an output now. In my case, I think I need to be restart the kernel. I hope all of you are getting an output. Yeah, correct. In my case, I think I need to be restart the kernel once again. So I'm just restarting it. And I need to be run from import pandas. Firstly, I need to be import the pandas. And then after I am just directly come into location dictionary. Now I'm getting an out. So there is an issue with the kernel, not an issue. So location Bangalore contains like 324 companies data in their key basic. If you want to fetch from Delhi to Gurugram, so how you can fetch that data? So slicing is also possible. Slicing is also possible. I want to slice the data from in the single quotes you need to be passed like Hyderabad colon Bangalore, and if you run this, so from Hyderabad to Bangalore, all the data is now you are able to see in the output. Hyderabad 54 companies, Delhi 120 companies, and Bangalore we have 324 companies. So this is how like we construct a like dictionary over the Python Pandas library. In that case, also what we are going to do here is these are basically the locations data we have. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also create another dictionary right now. So I'm just copy and paste. So you can just copy and paste the same data we are going to be follow, but now we're gonna change it. So now what I need to do is I need to be create another dictionary. So what I'm going to do, give the name as suppose I'm just writing here as startup. How many startups? So these are the number of companies we are having. So suppose this is 34 startups are there. In Delhi, there are 80 startups. Apart from this data, there are 234 startups are there. Out of 240, I'm just writing 180. Any random values you can take. Any random values you can take. So how many number of startups are present in this particular location? 34, 80, 234, and 180. 180. I run this for the clear understanding purpose. I'm just changing the name here, so you will get the clear understanding. It is like for company. So this is for the company dict. So number of companies are there. I want to fetch this data. So company dict. So this is the company information. Then after Here we are going with company only. This is for the company data. And I want to fetch the information. So I also need to be changed here as company. So it will give the clear understanding for us. It will be easy to understand like number of companies are there and under that how many startups. So these are the startups data. If I want to fetch this data, I just need to be pasted here. So this is the data related with the startups. Yeah, this thing I will tell, like how to import the data directly from the data set itself. So don't worry about that. I will show. After that, what I need to do is I again need to follow the same step like this. Company, Pandas, series. So what I need to do here is I need to be change the name as a startup here. And instead of company deck, this is a startup deck. So I'm just writing like startup underscore deck. And I want to fetch the data right now for this. So what I need to do is startup here. So this is the data for the startup. And this data is for company. Total number of companies according to this data. Now what I want to construct a data frame. Construct a data frame for companies and for the startups. So how can I do that? So in this case, we are going to be use data frame, Pandas data frame object. So Pandas data frame is nothing but the object that is data frame can be a generalization of Numpy array or a specialization of the Python dictionary. We are going to be use like data frame as a generalized Numpy array, where data frame is an analog of two-dimensional array with both flexible row indices and flexible column names. So just as you might think of a two-dimensional array as an ordered sequence of aligned one-dimensional column, so you can think of a data frame as a sequence that is aligned a series object. So what we are going to do here is for creating a data frame, what we need to do is we just need to be use a simple data frame function. So I am creating a Pandas data frame object here. So I'm just need to be write like heading from this data, startup and company data. I'm going to be create a data frame. So I'm just writing like Pandas data frame object here. And I'm giving this heading. In that, what I'm going to do is location is the variable where I'm going to be store this data. So how I have to do? First of all, pd dot data frame f is capital in this case. Data and f is capital. D is capital, f is capital. So data frame, under that curly braces, I have to give the column name. What will be my column name? So first of all, if I give it to the company, so I'm just giving the column name as company, column, which value I have to pass? This value, this company value I need to be passed. So as a value, I am passing this company here because we are going to be create a data frame. Data frame is a combination of the columns and rows. In that there is a specified column name. So column name is company, which stores company name. After that, we have a startup also. So startup data. Startup data, I'm just taking as stored it into this variable called as startup. And when I run this and I want to fetch the location data, so here you can see the output. Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Gurugram, these are the location. In that, I created two different columns along with the name called company and startup, which contains all the details related with the company variable, company values 54, 120, 324, 212. For a startup 34, 80, 234, and 182. These are the random values we are taking. This is not the exact because we are creating this data frame. So this is how we create a data frame object with a simple Pandas series. So I hope it's clear till now. If you want to fetch the indexes right now, so how you can fetch? Just need to be right like location dot index. If you run this, so these are the index right now: Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Gurugram. And the object type, like data type is object. Why? Because these are the categorical data, categories like Hyderabad, Delhi. This is the string type of data we see. Now, suppose I only want to fetch company information. So how can I fetch it? So just simply I need to be right like location of company. If I run this, so only the company information I will get in this space. In the same way for startup, if you want to know about what are the different columns that are present in this location, so I'm just write like location dot columns and run this. So two different locations, like two different columns are presented here. One is company and another one is a startup. So these are the two different columns which are present in this location data frame. Now after this, suppose you want to save the data into a CSV format. There are some statistical functions also. If you want to see the count, I will show you some statistical function. So statistical functions. I'm just giving the heading here. Basically, these are the indexes, na? Index, rows as an index right now. Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Gurgaon. These are basically stored it into the row format. So this is how like we will get the entire information. If you have from 0 to 1000 rows of data, so all the 0 to 1000 rows of data information you will get. I hope it's clear now the argument. Now statistical functions are there. Like if you want to see the counts, so you will get the counts value itself. So I just want to see the location dot counts. How many values are present for it's basically a count function, not a count function. So company contains 4 different values. Startup also contains 4 different values. So here we can see that 4 different values are presented here. In the same way, if you want to know about the minimum value, so you can see like location dot min, and you will get the minimum value. So minimum value in company case is 54 and startup case is 34. Now, if suppose I just want to see the maximum value in both, so location dot max, we are getting company having 324, the maximum value, and the startup having 234, a maximum value. And the data type is now integer because we are talking about the location maximum value. This is 324 and 234. If you want to calculate a mean, so how you can calculate the mean? Just simply we have a function called mean function, location dot mean, and mean will be calculated for the company as well as for the staff. If suppose there is an value which is in the float format, suppose you want absolute value. So how you can do that? Just simply write like location dot abs, and based on that you will get the absolute value. Right now we don't have any float values. If we have, that will be converted into the absolute value. So why do we need to write separately all these things? So what we need to do here is, any idea about that? If I want to see all the statistical information at once, so any participants, can you please tell me like how we can see the entire statistical information? Yeah, we can go with describe function, correct? So what I need to do here is just simply write like location dot describe function, and we will get all the information. Here you can also, suppose you have an object type of data, so you can pass the parameter as include is equals to all. So where you will also get the information related with the categorical data. But right now we don't have any categorical data, we have a numerical data. We can directly write like describe function, and we will get the statistical information related with the data. So count like how many number of values mean value, standard deviation is calculated, minimum value, 25% value of the data, 50% that is called median value, 75% of the data, the maximum value. So this is how like we will understand, we are understanding about the statistical functions. With the help of that, we will get the entire information and we will get an insight about our data. So what are the different numerical type of data are present under that. Now after that, I suppose I want to save this location data. We are talking about like location. This data I want to store it into CSV format. So how I can do that? So we have a function, we have an option like saving to CSV format that is called comma separated value. I'm just giving heading here. So we need to be save it into the CSV format. So how we can do that? We have a variable called location. Right now, I will show you before that. PWD we are using for checking the present working directory. So if I run this, my present working directory is in IBM Cloud Watson Studio. For this particular project, I have home working user in working directory, work directory. Now what I want to see how many number of files are presented. If I write like ls, so there is not any file, which means there is not any file. So what we are going to do is we are going to save this location data frame into a CSV format. So how we can save it? We just need to be write like location dot to underscore CSV format, and in single quotes you have to give the name of that CSV file. So location.csv I'm giving here. If I run this, so whatever is stored it into this location data frame, that will be converted into CSV format. And here, if I write ls again, I will be able to see one file, and that file name is called location.csv. Now suppose I want to read this file. I want to read this location.csv because it's now converted from data frame, it's now converted into a CSV dataset file. Now what I want to read this. How we can read from CSV file? Reading from CSV. So how we can read? So there is a simple method for reading the data. I'm just creating another variable called LOC. LOC is a short form of location. LOC is equals to pd dot read underscore CSV. Simple thing. Square and circle bracket. We have to pass the name of that file. So my file name is location.csv. So I'm just copying it and paste it here. Location.csv. And if I run this, and I want to see the LOC. If I run this, so I am getting an output in this form where index number is now changed 0, 1, 2, 3. But here, at that time, we don't have any name for this particular column, like this particular index, like suppose Hyderabad, Delhi, Gurgaon, Gurugram. But when I save it into the location.csv, into the CSV format, it gave the name as unnamed 0. If you are not assigning any column name, so that will be automatically when you are reading with the pandas, it will assign as unnamed 0, unnamed 1, unnamed 2, unnamed 3. So what we need to do in this case? Yes, participants, what we have to do now? I want to change because I'm not able to understand what is unnamed column 0. What I have to do now? Yes, participants. We need to be rename that column. Correct? So we are going to be rename the column. So how we are rename the column? So rename the column is, I'm just writing this LOC dot rename function. We just need to be write like columns is equals to in curly braces yes, we can write like index underscore call is equals to 0. We can also go with this. Otherwise, if you want to give any other name, so in that case, what you can do, this is the generalized form. Just need to be give the name, same name you need to be give, unnamed 0, unnamed column space 0. I want to convert it into an location, suppose. Location. And I have to pass one parameter called in place true. In place true is basically why we are writing here, because it is applying onto the column. So we need to be right in place is equals to true wherever the column name is unnamed column space 0, that will be renamed with the name called new name called location. So what I have to write here is true. In place is equals to true. If I run this, now I want to fetch LOC. Here you can see we are successfully changed the name of unnamed column 0 to location. So it is now easy to understand. Okay, this particular column stores location value. This company column stores number of companies that are present in these particular location and how many number of startups are there. So this is how like we can rename the column itself. So hope it's clear till now, participants. With pandas, I hope it's clear. Okay. So now we are move on to the next data science library or Python library, you can say that. That is called Python Matplotlib. And Matplotlib is a plotting library. That is used for 2D graphics in Python programming, and it can be used with the web application. So different type of graphs we can create in this case. So what I have to do now. Now what I need to do here is I just need to be write like Matplotlib, and Matplotlib I need to be write. Just give the heading here. Indexed with location. Now you made integer as indexed. No. Actually, no. Actually, I given the name location just to understand in which particular location we have entire data. Not this variable. You can change it like location in place of location. This is not an index. This is not a variable we are passing. This is we are creating a location. So you can just write here as place. Suppose I'm just writing place here. So what I need to do, I need to rerun again once. So this is not the case of location. This one we are talking about. I think Srini ma'am. Yeah, location. So this location is a variable, and here I'm just writing a location. I need to be run from here once again. Location.csv. Now it's clear. Right? Yeah, now it's clear. I think now it's converted into in place. Okay, now we are moving on to the Matplotlib. So in Matplotlib, we have few different dependencies such as base map, Excel tool, mplot 3D. If you want to create a 3D graphs, in that case you need to be use mplot 3D. It is used for 3D plotting. Base map, it is a map that is plotting toolkit, various map projections, coastlines, and the political boundaries. So such type of graphs also you can create with the help of Matplotlib library. So in Python, there are different types of plot, such as like bar graph, histogram, scatter plot, area plot, pie plot, etc. So now we are moving and creating a simple line chart that basically showcase a train of the data So for that, I have to import a library called Matplotlib. So how can I import? Just simply write. You can write like import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, or you can write in that way, like from matplotlib, I'm going to be import pyplot as plt. This is how like I'm importing the matplotlib library. There is another option like import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So I'm just running this. It's matplotlib, sorry for that. Yeah, now it's imported successfully. I just want to show you the line graph basically. So how we can create? We can create with the help of Numpy Array. So I'm just simply write like np.array here. And in that, if I'm just passing different numbers, suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And in y-axis, what I want to power those values. Power of those values. What is that? Like x variable I'm passing here, I want to power by 3, which means cube of those values. 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, 4 cube, 5 cube, 6 cube. That value is gonna store it into the y-axis, y variable basically. Now, if you want to create a graph, just simple 3 lines of code and we will be able to create a graph. So just simply write plt.plot and pass those variable x and y as an axis. If I run this, I think I rerun the kernel. So what I need to do is I need to be import numpy also. So numpy as npm importing here and run this. So this is how you are able to see a graph which has like x-axis and the y-axis. So here we like in x-axis we have like 6 different elements such as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in y variable we stored a power of the x as a cube basically. So 1 cube is 1, 2 cube is 8, so it is somewhat around like 8, 3 is 9, so it is like up to 9, then 4 is like 64, 5 is 625, 5 is basically 125, and 6 is 260. So this is how like this graph goes till 216, and this type of graph is showcasing the trend. So suppose if you want to see the sales of any organization, so we're gonna follow this type of graph line chart. If you want to see the forecast the data, how much sale will be in upcoming month of 2022, if any organization want to see, so in that case they will be follow the line chart. So with the line chart they can check the trend of the data and forecast the value, and this graph basically shows the clear understanding about the trend of the sales, trend of the profit of the organization and all. Now after, if you want to create a multiple line graph, suppose, so how we can create it? Multiple line graph we want to create. So in that case, what we will prefer, so just need to be right like plt dot figure, because the figure size is default right now. I want to change the figure size as well. So how we can do that? So I'm just writing like fixed size. This is the figure size, and I'm just writing like fixed size here, and I'm just giving the figure size as 10, and width and height we are giving right now 10 and 5. You can also increase and decrease the size of the graph. In X, I'm storing np.array, and I'm going to show you the multiple lines are presented in that particular graph. Right now it shows only the trend with one line. This is the line graph which we are showcasing right now. I will show you with like square and cube. We are taking 2 different values and see the trend for square and cube values. So right now I'm just writing like np.array, which is stored again the values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. After that, I'm creating y1 because 2 lines we are creating. So y1 and y2. Y1 basically stores np dot power of x comma 2, which means a square of the number that is stored it into the x variable. And y2 will, it's not double equals to, it's single equals to only. Y2 is equals to np dot power of x comma 3, which means a cube of the value. Figure size, like the size is, this is the default size. I want to increase and decrease the size of the graph. So that is why I'm writing here plot dot fig size, and under that parenthesis, I'm just defining figure size as 10,5, which means height and width of that graph event. Decide here. Width and height, basically. You can increase and decrease the size of it also. If you want to see a graph till this particular point, so how you can see? In this case, you need to increase the figure size. Width you need to be. So cube here. After that, I want to plot a graph. So plt dot plot x comma y1. One graph is for x comma y1, where I am giving the different color name, color as B, that is representing the blue color. Label I need to be provided. What is that label? This is for a square value. So you will be understand it is plt dot plot again, and right now x comma y2 right, and I'm just giving the color as red. So R I am passing here, and this label is basically representing the cube values. It's in the single quotes, basically we need to be right in single quotes. I'm just writing here. If I run this graph, it's basically figure of fixed size. It's a figure as a parameter we need to be passed. Figure we need to be right, plt dot figure, and then after under that function figure size, f fixed size is equals to 10. So right now, here you can see the width is now increased. If you compare both the graphs, now the size is different. Both the size are different. So this is how like you can set the figure size. Two different data we have, one for a square and another one for cube. But right now I'm not able to understand what red color is representing, what blue color is representing, and what is this axis and what about this axis. So what I need to do here is we have another function, plt dot x label function, where you can give the information related with x axis, plt dot y label, it's label basically. Here we need to be passed y axis. So right now we are having x label and y label. After that, if I run this, so here I'm getting an output as x axis and y axis. Now what I want to also show the legend, because I already given label as a square and cube. So what I need to do here is I need to be right. Yes, it's just a figure size. You can change parameter. Yeah, Hari, thank you. Right now, what I need to do is I just need to write like plt dot legend function. If I run this, so here you can see one legend will be added in the left hand side corner. The left hand side top corner as a square and cube. So square is representing with blue color and cube is representing with red color. So here you can see this is for the cube value. These are the square values. So 1 is square, 2 is square, 3 is square, 4 is square, 5 and 6 is square. So maximum value is 36 in this case, which means under the range of 0 to 50. So this is how like you can create a multiple lines in a single graph, and you can create a beautification of this graph itself. Now suppose if you want to compare multiple things or two or more than two aspects basically we have. So which graph we will prefer in that case? Which graph we will prefer in that case if I want to compare? In general, yeah, participants. Someone is saying pie chart, bar chart. Yeah, we will go with the bar chart. Why? Bar graph is basically used to compare the data among the different categories. And it is well suited when you want to measure the changes over a period of time. So it can be represented horizontally or vertically itself. So the important thing you need to be keep in the mind is longer the bar, greater the value is. So we are going to be we are taking a simple example for that. I'm just taking a cricket player's names and along with the age of them. So what I am going to do here is I just need to write like bar graph. I hope it's visible now. Prompt is because I'm not able to scroll down apart after that. I will do one thing. I'm just adding multiple cells right now. Now I hope it's clear. Yeah, bar graph we are talking. It's a comparison graph. So in bar graph, I'm just taking the age of the players, basically age of the players. Suppose 32-year age, someone is having 43-year age, 21-year age. Five different players names we are taking right now. 35 years or 28 years. This is the age data and name of the player. So name of the player I have to assign. So suppose 32 years I'm just giving as Virat. This is suppose for Sachin Tendulkar, like ST I'm just giving like Sachin Tendulkar. This is for suppose Ishan is there. This is like MSD, suppose Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and then after I'm just giving the age for Hardik. I'm just taking random names basically. I don't know the exact age also. So this is the age and name we are taking. Name is equals to Virat, ST, Sachin Tendulkar, Ishan, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Hardik. These are the players' names basically. Now I want to plot a graph. So what I need to do? PLT dot bar plot I need to be created. So I'm just writing like name here. Age of name and age I am passing. Name and age. After that, directly if you run, you will be able to see the graph right now. You will be able to see the graph. This is for Virat Kohli, this is for Sachin Tendulkar, Ishan, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and Hardik. And based on that, you can compare whose age is greater. So the greater the number, like longer the bar graph, which represents the greater value. So according to this graph, we can understand Sachin Tendulkar, then MSD, then Virat, then Hardik, then after Ishan. In that case, like if you want to compare something, so in that case, we are going to be prefer a comparison graph as a bar graph. You can create bar graph in horizontal way as well as vertical. So I hope till now it's clear. Yes, automatically saved is. It's like a Jupyter notebook in local system. It's saved, and figure size. Yeah, definitely. I will explain. Like suppose I want to increase the size of it. I'm just copying the code from here, and I want to increase the size of this figure on. Right now, the figure size is this. If I run this again, now the figure size is increased or not? Figure size is increased right now. 10 as the width and 5 as the height. If I just write down as 10,8, so here you can see height is also increased right now, and figure size as width is 10 in that place. So I hope it's clear now, like how this figure size, if you want to increase or decrease the size of figure, you can use this plt.figure function. Under that, we need to be write like fixed size that is equals to 10,8. You can change the different values. This is basically nothing but an height and width of the graph. After this, we are moving on to the stacked bar plot. So what is stacked bar plot? So stacked bar plot is a plot, is a graph basically, that use the bar to show the comparison between the categories of the data, but with ability to break down and compare parts of the whole graph. The same graph is there, but it's break down into two different categories. Suppose if three are there, so three categories, three different categories, it will be breakdown. So each bar represents a whole, and the segments in the bar basically represents the different part of categories of that whole data. So how it looks like, suppose in a company, I'm just writing like stacked bar chart basically. So what exactly it is? So we have suppose number of employees, four employees we have. Under that there are some closed tickets and open tickets. Open tickets means some of having the queries and that query is not resolved. So we will be taking as a open tickets. And those queries already closed. So those queries are solved. So that will be comes under closed tickets. So we are taking for random employees name. So I'm just taking x1 is equals to Shivam here. You can take any name. So I'm just taking like Hari here, Srikant, and Shivan. So these are the four different employees that I stored it into x1 variable, or you can also give the correct name. Naming convention, if naming convention is fine, so it will be easy to rectify like which type of data is stored into particular variable. So why I'm just choosing x1 just because of writing purpose. If you want, so you can just change it. So I'm just writing here as EMP. EMP represents employee. These are the employees. Employee's name. After that, open tickets and close tickets basically. So I'm just writing like OT represents open tickets. Four different data I need to be passed here. So suppose 29, 22, sorry, I'm just taking any random values like 32, 49 here, and suppose 40. These are the open tickets. Right? After that, closed ticket represents with CT, which also stores some data. I have to remove one comma here. Closed tickets, suppose 22 closed tickets. For 30, suppose there are 23 closed tickets. For 49, in that case, we are taking like 21 closed tickets. And in this place, like 40 are there. So we are taking like 34 closed tickets. After that, we need to be plot a graph. So I'm just writing like plt.var graph, emp, comma, open tickets, comma, I need to be give the label. So what is that label? Label basically shows like what exactly we are talking about. So open tickets. This is for the open tickets, and you can also define the color. So I'm just representing the color. We can pass it as a parameter called color. So how you can divide it? So black color I'm just giving for the open tickets, or suppose open tickets as black color I'm just defining. In the same way, I need to be copy paste, and for the closed ticket, I need to be create a graph that is stacked bar we are talking about right now. I have to write plt Yeah, sorry for there is some network issue. I hope till now it's clear. Yeah. So plt.var we are talking about. Then after we have like emp, that is employee, and close ticket. So ct, comma, label, and we are giving the label as close tickets. This is for the close tickets now. And we just need to be give that different color because stacked bar we are going to draw. So color I'm just taking as green color, suppose. You can take any color, blue, green, whatever the color that you want to prefer. And if I run this, so here you can see, based on this, like I just need to be define the figure size so that will be looks good in this case. So I'm just swapping this plt.figure and the figure size. Just need to be pasted here. And if I run this right now, it's 5 height, I'm just decreasing the size. It's 5. So according to this graph, you can understand green color represents closed tickets. So how many closed tickets are basically presented? 22. So till 22, the green color is represented. This is the first line you are able to see here. How many open tickets are there? 29. So till 29, the entire bar is presented. It is divided into two different parts. One is for open tickets. Open tickets represents black color. Closed tickets represent with green color. This whole graph, this whole bar is divided into or segmentize the whole bar, into two different parts right now. One is for open tickets, another one is for closed tickets. Now, if you want to give the label name, so as simple, like we gave here, like X label and legend you want to represent. So we're just copying from here because we have not that much time right now, I think. So after this, I'm just paste it here, the x-axis and y-axis and the label. If I run this, so here you can see open tickets represents with black color and closed tickets represent with the green color. So this is how the data looks like. In this case, suppose the third number data, that is name is called Srikanth in the x-axis. There are green number, which means closed tickets are 21 and open tickets are higher. So total number of data till this graph is 49. That is now segmentized into two different parts. One is for the open tickets and another one is for the closed tickets. So I hope you all understand the stacked bar chart itself. Any queries related with this graph, so please ask a question. If you want to create an horizontal, so you just need to be replace this with the horizontal. This type of graph, yes, you can divide this segment, divide into the different segments exactly. So why like stacked chart is important? Stacked chart is a kind of a bar chart that shows the composition and comparison of the few variables. So open ticket and closed ticket. So relative or the absolute over the period of time. So stacked bar or the column chart, they look like a series of columns. And with the help of a stacked bar chart, we can analyze a data in depth. We can judge the absolute length of each bar by cross-referencing against the scale along with the axis or the value that are presented under this, basically such as like open tickets and closed tickets here. So this is why we are using a stacked bar graph, because this segmentize their bars into different parts. So it basically used to show how a larger category is divided into smaller categories and what is the relationship of each part in the entire amount of data that is present into this particular bar or in the next bar and so on. So in that way, we are going to be using. Yes. Now, we are moving on to the next graph that is called a scatter plot. Scatter plot, why we are preferring, like why we, what is the purpose of this scatter plot? That's the question basically. Why, what is the purpose of the scatter plot and why we will go for that? Usually, we need a scatter plot in order to compare the variables. For example, how much one variable is affected by the another variable. So to build a relationship out of it, the data is displayed as a collection of points, each having the value of one variable, which determines the positions on the horizontal axis, and the value of the other variables determines the position of vertical axis. So in that way, we are going to be create a scatter plot. I will show you with the Numpy library, so that will be easy to create a scatter plot. So scatter plot we are talking about. So if I'm just writing like x is equals to np dot, k means black color. Yeah, k is representing as a black color. You can also find out into the Google different colors, like B represent for blue, green, and you can also write like color is equals to a yellow, green. If you give the entire name, the color is changed. Different palettes are basically present. Based on that, you can give the name. You can go with blue color, red color, or magenta, any other colors as well. Now scatter plot we are talking about. So np dot random dot normal. I just want a random number I want to generate in between the range of 0 to 10. 1,000 parts I want to divide, or 100 parts, suppose I want to divide it for x-axis. In the same way for y-axis. For y-axis. Here I want to plot a scatter plot. X and y I'm just passing. If I run this, so here you can see these are the different points. These are the different points. Random values, that is negative, and the positive values. This is the range for random normal, negative to positive values in that particular range. Here you can see in this scatter plot. Scatter plot is basically used. Suppose I just want to see the salary and experience. Salary and experience both are which type of data? It is continuous in nature. Based on the experience, salary will be given to that particular employee or that particular candidate. So how this happened? Like suppose, yes, definitely I will. Now I think it's visible to you. We are taking an example for the salary and the experience. So how we can create how we can understand with that example? If experience is higher, generally based on the experience, salary will be decided. Generally, in IT company we talk about, in other places as well, based on skill and experience, the salary will be decided. But in general, based on the experience, salary will be decided. Like if you have a 5 year of experience, you have a salary in between around like 10 to 15 LP or 15 to 20 LP. So this type of graph is basically giving the relationship between salary and the experience, variables. So this is how like scatter plot is showing the relationship between the two different variables that are present, and based on the experience, salary will be decided for particular person. So in that way, like we can understand that example. So I hope it's clear now. I hope it's clear now. Suppose there is a salary of an employee, like suppose 40,000. They have an 40,000 rupees per month. They have an experience over 1 year of experience. Those who have an experience over 5 years, they are getting salary as 75,000. Those who are an experience over 10 years, they are getting salary as 1.5 lakhs per month. In that way, we have a data. If new employee will come to that particular organization, it will check the experience of that person and their salary. Based on that, it will decide what will be the salary they will get in that particular organization. Yeah, scatter plot we can use to make a cluster size. This is how like we are able to create a graph for x. So if you want, so you can just write down here x is equals to the name of that particular like salary, and also in the y-axis we can give year of experience and the salary of that person basically. So if I'm just writing like x is equals to salary, yes, scatter plot we can do with the different colors as well. If we are having a clustering problem, we can change the color also. So one cluster represents the different color, another cluster represents the different color. In that way, we can understand it easily. So now I will show you the same example with the C1 library. So it will be easy for you to understand like how we are going to be create scatter plot with the help of C1 library. So anyhow, we will also need to be covered that. I will show you one more graph in this. Basically, we are creating a pie chart. What is the purpose of pie chart basically? Why we are creating a pie chart? Pie chart refers to a circular graph which is broken down into the different segments that is known as like slices. It is basically used to show the percentage or the proportional data. So each slide of a pie basically represents a category, and I will show you one example. So based on that, you will understand like how we are creating a pie chart. So I'm just creating a simple pie chart here. So we are creating a pie chart. I'm just taking the marks of a student, suppose. So those who are getting an marks as 60%, 80%, and suppose 40% we are taking. Okay, these are the marks, 3 different students I'm just taking. What are the labels we are going to be defined? I'm just giving the labels as those who are getting 60, which means those students are good students, good student basically. 80 means excellent one, and 40 means, or I'm just writing here as 50 here. It will looks better, I think. 90 and 70. Now it's fine. 70 for good, 90 for excellent, and 50 for we are taking an average students. These are the labels, and this is the marks. Now what I need to do is I also need to be define a colors. So different colors I'm just taking here. So I will store it into like green color. One is with magenta color. M represents magenta color. Or I'm just defining as blue here, B, and black color for the average students, K. 3 values. After that, I need to be create a pie chart. So plt.pie. In that, I'm just passing the marks value as well as labels I need to be provided. We can create, I'm just taking random number basically, 90 excellent, like that in the marks list. Yeah, you can just define it in the label and you will be able to do that. Labels is equals to, if you want to show into the legend, so that will be good, like good is equals to 70 and like that, you can represent. So labels is equals to, I'm just passing this labels variable here. After that, I need to be passed the colors also. So colors, I stored it into one list basically. So colors I'm just defining here. And after that, start angle you need to be decided here. Start angle, degree of that particular graph needs to be start 45 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree. At which particular point you need to be start a graph. So I want to start a graph with 45 degrees, suppose. If I run this, here you can see in 45 degree this graph is start. Good represents with this green color, excellent majority. Why? Because 90 is for excellent, and average is basically represents with the black color. So this is how like we can create a graph, create a pie chart which contains the whole data that is divided into 3 different slices, one for good, one for excellent, and another one for average. So I hope you all are able to create the pie chart itself. Now we will move on to the C1 because there are a lot and number of graphs basically are there in Matplotlib, also in C1, because we are running out of time right now also. So that is why I'm moving forward onto the C1 library. So just write C1 here and give the heading. So C1 is a data visualization library for statistical graphics where we can create more attractive graphs. So here we are going to be use a data set that is comes under the C1 library. So we are going to see how to import inbuilt data set from the C1 that are automatically downloaded at the time of installation. You can also use Pandas to import data set, but using inbuilt data set, we are going to use with the C1 library. So without wasting the time, I'm importing the library as import C1 as SNS. After that, I'm just showing SNS is basically C1 library we imported successfully right now. Now I want to show you the data set. So what I need to do, SNS dot, I'm just writing like data is equals to SNS dot get underscore data set. This is a inbuilt data set comes under the C1 library. So SNS dot get underscore data set underscore names. So you will get the list of all the data set that are stored it into C1 library. So if I write like data here, so these are the number of data set. These are the inbuilt data set which are present under the C1 library called SNS. Like we have anagrams and SCOB, attention data, brain network data, car crashes data, time and start, flight, and number of data we have right now. I think it's around like more than, you can also calculate the length for it. So we will get like how many number of data we have. So 19 data set are basically comes with the C1 library. Now I will show you one example with the different like data set we are going to be import. So I'm going to be import a data set called a tips data set. What is tips data set then? Tips data set is nothing but regarding with the restaurant data. So how we can use that data set and how we are going to be create a graph with the help of tips data. So how can I load this tips data, participants? So for loading the data, I'm just creating a variable as tips is equals to SNS dot load underscore data set. Under that, if I'm just writing like tips here, because I need to be passed the data set name, and if I run this, my data set is load and stored it into tips variable. So I just need to be write like tips here. So you will be able to see here the tips data set is now loaded successfully, which contains like total will in dollars basically. This is the tip for the beta, gender of that particular person, like female or male. He or she is a smoker or not. In which day, like Sunday, Monday to Sunday, in which day they visited to that hotel. Time basically dinner time they goes or at the time of lunch. Size means how many people are there, how many persons are there. So this is the data set, tips data set. In this tips data set, if you want to see top 5 rows of data, so just simply write like tips dot add function, which show you the top 5 rows of data. If you want to see bottom 5 of rows data, so tips dot tail function you can use, and based on that you will get the bottom 5 rows of data. So this is the total data which we have. It is started from 0 to 243, which means that 244 rows of data we are having. Now I am going to be create a rel plot. So what exactly rel plot is? Rel plot is nothing but a relationship plot. So I will show you the relationship. With the help of that plot, you will also understand the scatter plot in that. So how we can create. So SNS dot rel plot you need to be write. Under that relationship plot, data, which data you are talking about? We are talking about tips data. Tips as a variable I am passing it. After that, in X variable, I want to show the total bill. I want to show the total bill. Based on the bill, how much tip the person basically provide to the waiter. So just need to write like YS tip. And if I run this graph, so you can clearly see here, clearly it's visible like total bill and tip. Here we need to be understand. If the bill amount is increased, automatically you can see based on this data, basically we need to be analysis this data. If total bill amount is increased, tip is also increased. It is proportional to like bill. Like if bill is increased, tip will also increase. So majority of the bills in between $10 to $20, majority of the bills in between $10 to $20, and majority of the tip the person basically provided to the waiter in between $2 to $4. I hope it's clear now. It's a relationship plot. It is a kind of a scatter plot. You can understand these are the dots values basically represents the data of bill along with the tip. So I hope it's clear now. Now I will give you a clear understanding with the different color based on the day-wise data. So we have a day-wise data, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This data we have right now. So what I am going to do here is rel plot function, and this function basically plots two type of graph. One is scatter plot, where you need to be write scatter. By default, it is a scatter. If you want to create a line plot, you just need to be mention a kind of plot it is. So you need to be write like one parameter you need to be passed here as line plot, and that plot will be created in this case, in that case. Now, I want to show you the clear understanding about this data with the help of day-wise data. Like day-wise, which type of customer visited to that particular hotel. So what I need to do is, I'm just copying the same thing, paste it here. And in this, I'm just writing one parameter called hue. hue parameter we are just passing here. The hue parameters determines which column the data frame should be used for color encoding. So for color encoding, if I am writing like hue is equals to day, we have a column. We have a column called day. This day. Based on that, I want to color the plot. If I run this, here you can see. Now the plot looks more appealing right now. So this is built over the top of Matplotlib library, and we are using this data basically. Right now you can see Thursday data. In Thursday, how many people are visited to this particular hotel on Friday, on Saturday and Sunday. So most probably you can see those who are visited on Saturday, they are having a bill amount in between 30 to 50. Majority, like mostly those who are visited to that hotel on Saturday, they are paying more amount in between 40 to $50, as well as they are giving tip to the waiter in between like $6 to $10. Even they are paying $10 itself. So this is how like we can understand it easily, this graph. Based on this, we can see the relationship. Now suppose if you are not able to understand in this format, what you need to do, you can divide it into the column itself. One graph for Thursday, one graph for Friday, one graph for Saturday, and another one graph for the Sunday special. So how we can do that? I'm just copying this, paste it here. Now, based on the gender, I want to split it. So hue is equals to text. I just need to be write as a variable name. Then after column, I need to be separate. Hue is basically determining the color in the Seaborn library. It is a parameter. It is a parameter basically. Hue is a parameter which determines the column in the data frame with the color encoded form. Now, if I'm just writing like call is equals to day, so column I need to be split day wise. And if I run this, suppose if I run this, so here you can see four different graphs is now created. Here you can see we are having four different, and based on what? Gender, like male and female. So majority of the people visited on Saturday and Sunday. Number of males are higher in comparison to females on Saturday and Sunday. But on Thursday, females are also visited, and on Friday also. Thursday and Friday, majority like almost same or more than that, more than males in gender. Now suppose I don't want a graph in that in one go. So what I need to do, I need to be wrap it into two different columns. So what I need to do, I need to be pass one parameter as call wrap is equals to 2. If I did it, so now the graph is looks, and the graph is divided into two different columns. Thursday, Friday first, then Saturday, Sunday. Based on the male and female, total bill, and the tip they will provide. So majority, you can see according to this data, male basically giving the tip to that particular waiter, and they are mostly paying the bill. Male is basically mostly paying the bill according to this data. So this is how like you can see the relationship between the graph. So I hope it's clear now. So till now, I hope it's clear. Now we are going to be create one more graph that is called box plot. Box plot using C1 library. Now, box plot, also called box and whisker diagram, and it is used for depicting groups of numerical data through the different quartiles are presented there. So kindly show the last code line. Yeah, definitely I will show. SNS.rel plot, under that data is equals to tips. X axis total bill, Y axis tip. U, which means color, like based on the sex, like gender. Column I need to be divided based on the day, and column wrap is equals to 2. Now box plot we are talking about. So different quartiles range out there. It is known as the box and whisker diagram because it is composed of a box and whiskers. Box plot is also used for detecting the outliers in the data set. So be most like if you want to find out the outliers in the data set, then in that case we need to go with the box plot. And one more important thing, this is the last graph we are covering now because we are running out of time. So sorry again, like if it is like 9:05 right now, so 9:15 max to max we will go. So I just want like you all are very patiently listen. So please listen for more 10 minutes. So we are covering this last one. So box plot, last thing, like only 10 minutes I'm just taking next to next. So in that box plot, basically we are using for detecting the outliers in the data set. Box plot is compared of a summary of 5 different data points like minimum quartile range, first quartile range, median quartile range, third quartile range, and maximum quartile range. So now I will show you, like we already imported the tips data. We already do it. Just need to be right, like SNS dot box plot x is equals to, I'm just defining as day in y axis, in y data basically, I'm just defining as total underscore bill. And which data we are talking about? We are talking about tips data, which we already used. Data is equals to tips. And if I run this, I'm getting the output in this way, So what exactly these things, like minimum quartile range? So I will briefly explain about this part. The bottom black horizontal line, this bottom black horizontal line of the box plot is the minimum quartile range, minimum value. The first black horizontal line of this rectangle shape of the box plot is the first quartile range, or you can say that 25% of. The second horizontal line of the rectangle shape of the box plot is the second quartile range, that is known as 50% of the data, or you can say that median of the data. The third quartile, third basically black horizontal line of the rectangle shape of the same box plot is the third quartile range. This is the 75% of the data we have. And the top black horizontal line of the rectangle shape of the box plot is the maximum value, that is called the 100% of the value. And after that, these diamond shape is representing the outliers in the data. So this is how like box plot looks like, and this diamond shape is representing the outliers in the data. And this, like it started the quartile range from minimum, first quartile 25, median as 50%, third quartile range as 75%, and final one is the 100, that is called maximum quartile range. And these diamond shapes representing the outliers in your data. So in statistics, basically, outlier is the data point that differs significantly from the other observations. Outlier may be due to the variability in the measurement, or it can also indicate the experimental error. So sometimes we need to be exclude those data from the data set. Outlier can cause a serious problem in statistical analysis. So for that purpose, we will use boxplot to understand the outliers, to identify the outliers in the data. So I hope all the participants, those who are presenting here, they understand today's session. We started with the Python. We understand the Python part, then we go with the Numpy Python libraries for data science, such as like Numpy, Pandas. Numpy we understand like built-in methods, and in Panda series object, and also how we are using the specialized dictionary, and also then after Pandas data frame object we created, then statistical functions. After that statistical function, we are say how to save the data and how to read the data, and if we have a column which we need to be renamed, so in that case we are moving forward. Then we use the data visualization libraries such as Matplotlib. In Matplotlib we see with the line chart, bar graph, also stacked bar chart, understand the scatter plot, pie chart. And with C1 library we load one data set called the tips data set. This is for the hotel basically, and we understand how to load the inbuilt data set using the C1 library. And then after we fetch like top 5 rows of data and bottom 5 rows of data. Then after I again show you the relation plot, that is again an example of a scatter plot, where you will get the clear understanding about the scatter plot, where we compare its total variable versus tip of the beta, and also understand the different parameters that are going to be used in C1 library, which is not present under the Matplotlib. So this is how like we just write hue as a parameter, automatically the color got changed in this case. And we wrap that columns into two, and also understand box plot, that is basically used for find out the outliers in the data set. So I hope it's clear for all the participants, those who are present here and those who leave also the session before. So thank you very much, and I hope you all understand very clearly. So I hope it's clear for all the team, all the presentees here. And one more important thing regarding the recordings, you will get under the SmartInternz educator login, where you have to SmartInternz educator login. If you log in there, under the learning resources, you will get an option for watching the recordings, that is comes under your educator login section that is present in the website basically. So under learning resources, you will get all the recordings. I hope it's clear for all the participants here, and listen very patiently, and thank you very much that you all are still till like 9:13. If someone is facing problem with the IBM Cloud, so they can post the queries like what exact query you have. You are not able to create the Jupyter notebook, suppose. In that case, you can share the screenshot. So it will be easy for us to give you the instant answer. So from tomorrow, we will dive onto the deep learning part, that is like artificial neural network. Then we move on to convolutional neural network, then deep learning deployment model on IBM, along with the Flask integration. And after that, we will dive onto the IBM Watson Assistant service, and also hope so we will go with the Node-RED service as well. Yeah, I will repeat once again. For accessing the recording, you have to log in SmartInternz educator login. Under learning resources, you will get an option to watch the recordings. So please follow the instruction. So based on that, you will be able to access the recordings. So I hope you all understand very clearly, and thank you very much. We have a session again like tomorrow in the same time, like 6 to 9 p.m. So I want that you all will be present there. And thank you very much. If you have still having any queries, you can just ask. No, we as a layman, like you cannot perform only in IBM Watson. You can use the IBM Watson Jupyter service right now. In Watson Studio, under that there is one service called Jupyter Notebook. That is an asset basically under Watson Studio service. You can also use Google Colab. You can also write a code in Jupyter Notebook. You can also write a code in Gradient. You can also write a code in any IDE also, and select the line by line code and just run it. And you will be also able to get the output in the IDE itself. For this program, basically, we need to be used and understand like how we are utilizing the cloud service. In Watson Studio, we are utilizing the cloud service. Anyhow, we are utilizing the cloud service. Our notebook is stored into IBM Watson Studio under project called AI-project under Build-A-Thon. There, IBM-Day2 notebook is stored. So we are storing the data into the cloud object storage. Automatically, this data is stored into the cloud object storage. So I hope it's clear for all the faculties presented here. And thank you very much for listening in very patient manner. And if still having any queries related with the platform, ID, and any other things, you can directly like you can ask the question. If you're still having any doubts, yes, you can ask the question if you're still having any doubts. And thank you very much for your lovely comments. Thank you very much. So tomorrow we have a session at the same time, like 6 to 9 p.m. So I want that you all will, all the faculties, all the respected faculties will join again the tomorrow session and other sessions as well, the upcoming sessions. And thank you very much. If facing any issues, you can reach out to us on Telegram. Still facing any issues related with accessing the recordings or not able to do that, the Jupyter notebook not able to create. So in that case, yeah, so there is a mentor like Srikanth and Hari, and other mentors are also there, Mahidar and Soumya. So these are the mentors. They will help you in that case. So ANN, like tomorrow also we are going to be use IBM Watson Studio service. Recording of the session you will get, you need to be logging into the SmartInternz educator login. Under the learning resources, you will get the recording. Yes, you can log out from the IBM Cloud itself. Under the learning resources, you will get an option how we add on Telegram. I'm just sharing the link for the Telegram. You will just use that link. Click on to that link and you will join to the Telegram group. I'm just sharing in that chat. I hope you received like Telegram link as well. So thank you very much for your time. Like you, all the respected faculties still presented right now in that meeting. So thank you very much. And again, we will connect tomorrow at 6 p.m. So I want that you all will join. So thank you very much. And now, if you do not have any queries, so we will be going to be bind up the session. If you do not have any queries, I'm just to stop sharing my screen. If you don't have any queries right now, so yeah, we will be going to be bind up the session. So thank you very much, and yeah, good night for all, and thank you very much. Again, we will connect tomorrow. Thanks to all, sir. And so from tomorrow, like deep learning part will be started. Yes, we will understand with the image data only. Like when we move on to the CNN part, so there we are going to be deal with the image data set. So thank you very much for joining the session. Now we are going to be bind up. Thank you. And if you have any queries, please reach out to us on Telegram. Thank you very much and good night.